Well, very recently, the cast of the Fox TV series Glee performed a song that would debut at number 2 on the iTunes chart, but this is no unfamiliar piece of music. In fact, it's been on that chart before a few times. In fact, it is what you might describe as omnipresent. A little taste of the 1980s anthem, Don't Stop Believin' from Journey and their 1981 record, Escape. Well, it's been 28 years since that classic rock power ballad first was released, but Don't Stop Believin', written by vocalist Steve Perry, guitarist Neil Schon, and keyboardist Jonathan Cain, is certainly not fading away, quite the opposite. And while Don't Stop Believin' wasn't the biggest hit on that album when it was released, the past few years it's been a permanent fixture on the iTunes list of most downloaded songs, particularly thanks to TV shows and movies like The Wedding Singer, Laguna Beach, The Sopranos, American Idol, Broadway's Rock of Ages, and that Fox series Glee that have all featured Don't Stop Believin'. It's considered by some experts to be one of the top karaoke songs in the world, and the Chicago White Sox even adopted Don't Stop Believin' as their anthem when they went on to win the World Series in 2005. So what is it about this timeless hit that won't quit? And where exactly is this South Detroit that gets mentioned in the lyrics? He's a guy who's been described simply as the voice. Steve Perry spent 14 years as lead vocalist of Journey, helping the band sell nearly 80 million albums worldwide. He's also been named one of the 100 greatest singers of all time by Rolling Stone magazine. And Steve Perry now joins me by phone from Los Angeles. Hello, sir.
Well, after all that, I owe you money. Oh, my goodness.
Come on.
That is so kind. Oh, those wonderful words. Thank you so much.
It's a great pleasure to speak to you, man.
Let me tell you something real quick. Do you know where it really started? It started with a movie called Monster that was written by a young AFI graduate of the Film Institute in Los Angeles named Patty Jenkins.
Yeah.
She heard this song, and all her life she loved it, and she was graduating out of AFI, and she decided to write this script called Monster, and then her dream of dreams was to get Charlize Theron to star in this character of Eileen Warnes, and she had written that song into a skating rink scene in the film, and if you see the film, it is absolutely the way it appears in the script is how it appears visually, word for word, moment for moment. She envisioned that song as being something that really was a broad stroke, just song about streetlight people living just to find emotion hiding somewhere in the night. She loved that lyric, and it launched her into this image. And it really started with her because after that came Orange County, The Real OC, and many other TV shows, which led eventually to all the ones you mentioned.
Well, I was going to get to that. Let me actually go back a few years because I want to know how this song originated in the first place. You officially joined Journey back in 1978, Steve.
Correct.
And when ex-Babies keyboard player Jonathan Cain also joined in 1980, I guess a songwriting partnership was born. How did you guys go about writing Don't Stop Believin'? Do you remember the writing process?
Yeah, Jonathan Cain and I immediately had an empathy for writing songs together. I loved his work when he was in the Babies, and we sat down to write the Escape record, and that came just really quick. When it came time to write the Frontiers record, I remember from one of our tours, we were in Detroit. We had finished a show from, I think, Joe Louis Arena, it was called at the time, and we stayed across the street in this hotel. Needless to say, I wasn't sleepy after being jacked by the performance of the evening, you know. I looked out that night, and I was looking down, and I could see nothing but the street lights glowing the sidewalks. I couldn't see the street lights themselves, and I found it was so interesting to see how the city's lit from the top bottom, and I saw all these people walking around the sidewalks at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, just hanging out. And when it came time to write that record, one of those images, amongst others, which are some of my own childhood images when I was playing clubs in my hometown, For a Smile They Can Share the Night, The Smell of Wine and Cheap Perfume, those are my childhood nightclub images of my past. Those and some Jonathan Cain had himself started to come together all at once in this just a moment. And by the way, it wasn't, as you said, nothing like a special tune. It was just one of many we fell in love with and wanted to complete.
So there's been, let me get this out of the way, because there's a debate over the years about the lyric, right? I thought we'd settle it here. What exactly did you mean by South Detroit? Because some Michigan natives say that doesn't exist.
No,
That's Windsor.
Correct me. I tried North Detroit. I tried East and West. It didn't sing, but South Detroit sounded so beautiful.
It sounds good.
I love the way it sounded, only to find out later it's actually Canada. Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty much Windsor. Yeah. So we can own the song.
You can own the song.
So you mentioned this. You said you didn't think it was anything necessarily special. When Escape gets released in 1981, Don't Stop Believin', it wasn't even the biggest single on that record. I mean, both Open Arms and Who's Crying Now rose higher on the charts that year. What expectations did you have for the song when you released that record for Don't Stop Believin'?
It's a funny thing, because though those other songs were hits, bona fide radio hits, whenever we played Don't Stop Believin', if you see the Journey DVD live, it's 1981 Houston, it's called, 1981 Live. If you see that DVD that was filmed back then in Houston, that song gets a response like it's getting now to the live audience. So my point is, during the live shows, that song always got a great response. It just wasn't a radio hit.
Well, and structurally speaking, I mean, Don't Stop Believin' is not your traditional song. I mean, it has what many consider to be one of the best opening keyboard riffs in rock.
Oh,
but
yeah?
then it takes about 3 minutes and 20 seconds, I think I've clocked it at, to get to this famous chorus. Do you remember how the song ended up getting written in such an asymmetrical fashion?
I wanted to have a chorus of choruses, is what I told the band. I mean, we had A, B, C's. We have our verse, we have our B section, and we have what could be considered a chorus. And then when it comes time to go out, I wanted to do a chorus of choruses. And it's a bit of a challenge to introduce a brand new, never heard before piece of music at the end of a song. But gee whiz, I always trusted that it could be done, because when I was growing up, the Beatles did it. Everybody could do it if they just felt that the outgoing chorus was strong enough.
Don't go to show you, though, that this hit song with such a legacy is actually not what most radio programmers or major label heads would tell you to do if you were going to sit down and write what they would expect to be a hit song, right?
And you're absolutely right, because they passed on it being a single. Isn't that interesting?
It is now, for sure.
To show you what we were dealing with.
Steve, I want to play you a clip from a guy named Steve Spears. I mean, he is the entertainment editor for the St. Petersburg Times in Florida, where he writes the blog and podcast Stuck in the 80s. Now, he's a big fan of Journey, and he says the first concert he ever went to was October 22nd, 1981, was you guys. He was 14. Here's what he had to say about Don't Stop Believin'.
Journey's Don't Stop Believing has this really bizarre, unique set of circumstances that makes it such a great song. First of all, it starts off with probably the most distinctive 2 or 3 notes on a piano that have ever been played. As soon as you hear those piano notes, you know it's Don't Stop Believing. And it's a song that continues to build throughout. It's got excellent guitar work by Neil Schon. It's got the legendary voice of Steve Perry. And it's one of the very first songs that was composed with Jonathan Cain when he joined the band. And there's something about that magical combination that gives this song sort of like this eternal quality to it.
That was Steve Spears, who writes the blog and podcast Stuck in the 80s. Steve Perry, there must have been a moment or a time, or perhaps since when you wrote it to now, when you realized this song would be one for the ages. Do you remember when that was?
I think that when we were doing the song in 1981, I knew something was happening. But honestly, when I first saw it in the film Monster with Patty had done it, I started thinking, oh my goodness, this is really something. And then I went back and realized that the live version